We know that physical attractiveness is the most important thing in a relationship, whether it's a short-term or a long-term relationship. In our previous videos, we showed you some evidence about how your physical attractiveness not only affects your dating but also your social life. One thing always leads to another. There are also multiple real-life examples supporting the halo effect. Now that being said, to improve the quality of your life, you first need to improve your looks. You will see intelligent people do it to achieve better success. Now a question may arise, what is the bare minimum attractiveness you should have to live a happy life in today's generation? In this video, we will learn about the SMV scale made by us. Quick info, if you are wondering, this channel is currently operated by two friends. Some limitations of the SMV scale, I will be sharing some screenshots of my Tinder to explain certain points. And lastly, we're going to talk about how personality and money affect relationships. In 2022, the only way to have a good dating life is by being different than the rest of the population, or in other words by being above average in terms of looks. Now if you think about it, the whole dating thing is like a market where you will choose the best product you can, only if you can afford, of course. In the dating market, the product is replaced by a mate, and money is replaced by genetic wealth. To understand this in a simple way, we made a scale where we placed certain individuals on certain levels, based on their faces and bodies. Now there aren't any studies available that place certain people at a certain level of attractiveness. This scale is made by us with a combination of the data available on what makes a face and body attractive, and our experience in the dating market. We start from zero, where we place people who don't look like humans, have horrible facial features, high degree of defect in soft and hard tissues. People who fall at this level have no hope to increase their attractiveness. They will be treated like trash by society. The same society that says looks don't matter, it's about a good heart and a good personality. I would recommend you to watch the film named Wonder, if you are wondering how society will treat you if you are a 0 on our scale. Moving on to level 1, here we place guys with deformities and hard tissues. These guys either have bone deficiencies or have excess bones. Now, thankfully due to current technology, it can be fixed completely. Now some people get good results and straight away jump from 1 to 4, and on the other hand some people don't good results. Because there are other factors affecting the results. If you noticed, we didn't mention the body on levels 0 and 1. It's due to your face being much more important than your body. And we have covered this in our previous video. In brief, if you have a perfect body but a below average face, you are still going to be below average in terms of overall attractiveness. Moving on to levels 2 and 3. This is reserved for guys who are overweight, have some degree of facial deformity, short guys, narrow frames, guys who are losing their hair, and last but not the least, average non-white guys living in Western countries. Note the word average. There are good-looking guys from every race, in fact we consider good-looking people are a single race. Here's the confusion that arises is, if Asians, blacks, and others are considered less attractive than white guys. Why some non-white guys are considered attractive? The very logical explanation would be, that the average Asian male looks nothing like those K-pop guys. The average black guy looks nothing like those black models. The difference only appears when we compare average males. For example, if we compare an average Chinese male with an average English male would be more attractive due to having a more sexually dimorphic face, and being taller than the Asian male. Not to forget the big frame that comes from being taller. Now when an average Asian male is living in the West, his dating value decreases due to having a less attractive face, and short height. To be average in the West you have to meet the requirements of an average male. A guy who is 5 feet 10 inches in height and has an average Caucasian face. Anything below that will make you below average. And the exact opposite thing happens when an average white male goes to Asia. His dating value increases due to being above average than the other males. However, this rule doesn't apply to good-looking males. Because they are somehow able to complete the criteria of being good-looking. Moving on to levels 4 and 5. Level 4 is for those guys who are just below average, probably due to their bad skin, hair, low muscle mass than average, or shorter than the average height. Level 5 is reserved for average guys and there's nothing to say about it. Moving on to level 6. Here we place guys with really good facial development, guys who are considered attractive by females. From this level dating pretty much gets easy. This level is reserved for either guy with a perfect face with a short height, or a slightly less attractive face with a height above 6 feet. Although we believe a man should be at least 5 feet 9 inches, no matter how attractive his face is. But we can see guys as low as 5 feet 7 inches with attractive face gets good treatment from females. Moving on to other levels. From levels 7 to 10, there isn't a big difference in the SMV. The attractiveness difference gets reduced as the level increases. Level 7 is reserved for men of average height with attractive faces. There isn't any rating for attractive faces. If you are attractive, you will be considered attractive by the majority. There are 3 types of faces you will find in this world: unattractive faces, average faces, and attractive faces. Now there may be a little bit of difference between some attractive faces. May the other faces have a slightly better nose or a slightly better jawline. But these differences will not affect your SMV to a great degree. Moving on to levels 8, 9 and 10. This place is reserved for guys who are above 6 feet and has attractive face. The difference is pretty much negligible. And it boils down to the personal preferences of the female. Some would prefer Lucky Bluesmith, whereas some would prefer Henry Cavill. We would place Henry Cavill slightly higher than Lucky Bluesmith, just because he has an above average muscle mass. But this difference wouldn't be a big difference. Both are pretty much equally attractive in the eyes of a female. In short, levels 8, 9 and 10 are pretty much the same, and it boils down to the personal preferences of the female. We do believe that there is a preference. Take me as an example. I like blonde females who are around 5 feet 6 inches and super feminine. On the other hand, my friend prefers slightly taller females who are slightly masculine. But this doesn't mean that I don't like the other category. It's just about preferences. When you are already at level 8, a little bit of difference such as a slightly taller height won't make a big difference. But we will place the slightly taller male higher. But in the eyes of a female, both are attractive and she will choose any one of them based on her preferences. This is the looks scale that we will be using in our upcoming videos to rate someone's SMV. Now this scale does have some limitations. The very first limitation would be your personality. Now hold your horses. We mentioned multiple times in our previous videos that your personality has nothing to do with your attractiveness. But relationships and attractiveness are different things. For example, if you are unattractive, you can still get into a long-term relationship only if you are rich, and you are willing to pay for pretty much everything for the female. But this doesn't mean that you are attractive, and the female is with you because of your resources, not because of your actual sexual attractiveness. You are in a relationship but you are not attractive, and you always have to pay a price if you get into this type of relationship. There would be no love, respect, you are nothing more than an ATM with no limits. You will find yourself dwelling in dead bedrooms Reddit page, fake rape charges, a divorce that can end you losing your wealth, and you may have to force to pay child support. Talking about children, the children may not be yours. It's quite proven by various studies that women look for better genes to reproduce. And all these statements are not our assumptions. These are based on studies and evidence that you can't ignore. Another example would be that most men are not willing to marry a female with a promiscuous past. Yet again, this is proven by a study that says men are not willing to marry a female with a promiscuous past. In fact, men would prefer a female with no sexual experiences. However, this is the opposite when it comes to short-term relationships, where men preferred females who are sexually experienced and are promiscuous. That means in a long-term relationship, even if a female is attractive and promiscuous, her SMV drops drastically. But there will always be some unattractive males willing to get into a relationship. Always remember, exceptions don't change the reality. Similarly, personality doesn't affect your attractiveness, but it can affect your relationship. A relationship with a narcissist can be emotionally draining, in part because these relationships tend to flourish early on. Narcissists work hard to make strong first impressions. But a tendency to isolate a partner from others, to speak of exes in degrading terms, or to use punishments like the silent treatment on a partner should all be seen as red flags. You can have a successful relationship with a narcissist, but it's more likely if it's only short-term. In short, personality doesn't affect your attractiveness, but it may affect your relationship. And yet again, this is proved by studies. You can be shy, awkward, rude, etc. It won't decrease your attractiveness. Take a look at this experiment that we performed on dating apps. This is a female that I met on Tinder and I asked for her number. I asked for a date and we both agreed. Now this female was below average in terms of looks. Take a look at the texts. I said, I have slept with lots of girls, does that make me a bad person? She replied, I don't judge people. She knew that I was way above her looks level. Look at the text. She says, what if you don't like the way I am, or like me as a person? Will you walk off? Which states that she was indeed insecure about her looks. Then my partner decided to text, listen girl, you should lose some weight and get some cosmetic procedures. Which is a rude statement. And she immediately blocked me. This doesn't make me less attractive, but it does make me not so desirable. Nobody wants to get insulted by their partner. Even though my SMV is around 7 for now, she blocked me because she got insulted. We are currently making a lot of experiments on different topics. This is just a small example. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss them. Then comes money. It's very similar to personality. It doesn't directly affect your attractiveness. Studies show that it is indeed necessary for long-term relationships. We know we need money to pay our bills. In a long-term relationship, you need money for reproduction costs, like raising children and other expenses. But as we explained before, it doesn't make you attractive. Now, this study was conducted back in 1993, more than 10 years after the sexual revolution. At that time, women did need financial stability for long-term relationships, although women were earning quite nearly an equal amount as men. In 2012, women who were full-time wage and salary workers had median usual weekly earnings of $691. On average in 2012, women made about 81% of the median earnings of male full-time wage and salary workers, $854. In 1979, the first year for which comparable earnings data are available, women earned 62% of what men earned. Between 1979 and 2012, women's to men's earnings ratios rose for most age groups. Among 25 to 34-year-olds, for example, the ratio increased from 68% in 1979 to 90% in 2012. The women's to men's earnings ratio for 45 to 54-year-olds increased from 57% to 75%. Now, what's that mean? It means that it's even more difficult to beta books now. The date was from 2012 and it's probably increased a lot by now. And due to the internet, attractive women can get a good-looking man very easily without the need for a beta books. In short, it would be really hard for a beta books to get into a relationship as the time passes. Because women can make their own money. The only use of money is that it will provide your glow-up funds, starting from a simple skincare product to expensive surgeries. Things such as height, age, etc. are a part of your looks, so they don't act as limitations. Another thing that may affect your SMV is your location. We already explained this. Although pretty much every female from most countries wants an attractive man due to the influence of social media, so it doesn't matter. The simplest way to know if you are attractive or not is through Tinder. Tinder is your real life. Your matches, likes, and interactions with the matches are directly proportional to your SMV. You don't need to do a cold approach or warm approach, and all those BS. Now, I usually get a lot of messages that I look too unreal. If you get lots of matches, likes, frequent compliments, and if females doubt whether you are real or not, it means that you are quite attractive. I even got banned from Bumble because I forgot to add my Instagram and females probably thought I am fake. So this is the SMV scale that we think is the most accurate. We combine both face and body to avoid problems. Another thing that we would like to add is if you are average, you won't get any intimacy, let alone below average guys. You have to be above average to get into a relationship. You may find some YouTubers suggesting to cold approach and other different types of methods to approach or use fashion, cologne, nose hair, shoe lifts, clean ears, and what else not to sell their content. First of all, most methods are not backed by any evidence, they are backed by assumptions, and assumptions that don't reflect reality. None of this advice will work if you are an average guy. And we can guarantee this. The second thing is, let's pretend for a moment that this advice actually works. We would like to ask a simple question. Does this advice work for the person promoting them? The person probably had 0 matches, and even if the person gets a few matches through purchasing premium, the females instantly unmatches as soon as the person says something sexual.